How are you, sir?
What's up, my dog?
You good?
Yes.
Yo, man, people are asking like, why are we having a conversation with Baron? But people don't know that you are intertwined in this music thing, and this it's been part of your life for a long time. But not just from a creative perspective. Just the basketball as a whole has been intertwined with music for a long time. But
Yeah.
man, let's hold on. It's Warrior, it's Dub Nation time, and
Dub
so
Nation.
so we wanted to thank you as Dub Nation over here representative for all your contributions that you've contributed to the success of the Golden State Warriors and bringing back some life to it because we were heart our hearts stopped for so long, you
Right.
know and so you had my whole family jumping up and down in my living room when during the 2007 first round series with Dallas, and just that magical season as a whole, because it was just wasn't supposed to happen, but it happened, and it was magic.
Right.
It
Right.
was magic. But man, listen. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to. I'm gonna like. People don't also. We're gonna talk a little bit of basketball, and then I'm gonna jump into your life, and then jump into some of the pivotal moments in your life, into how you got to where you are. Right, but
Yeah.
people don't ever give the 1999 draft class enough credit.
Dog.
Like, there is some crazy people that were drafted that night, like
Solid.
Elton Brand, Stevie Franchise,
Solid.
Jason Terry, Andre
Solid.
Miller, Sean
Solid.
Marion, Maggette,
Solid.
Rip,
Solid.
Artest,
Yeah.
Odom,
Michael Red.
Michael Redd,
Michael Red. Lamar Odom.
Ginobili,
Karolinko. I think
Karolinko.
Karolinko
That's
was in that draft class. Yep. We was loaded,
Why
man.
don't we ever talk about that? That was like long ass careers for every single one of those guys that and contributed to so many different playoff
Yeah.
series and stuff.
Let's say our class is always like probably the most underrated class when you think about, when you start looking back at dudes' numbers and consistency. Like we came in kind of like on the heels of what was taking place with Jordan and the Iverson transition. It was Iverson, Kobe, and so you know what I mean. I think our kind of crew of guys, we didn't get our. I don't think we really got like our moment. You know what I mean? Or we are a little ahead of our time. But when you look at guys like Rip Hamilton and the work that he was doing in
Jeez.
Detroit, you know what I
Oh
mean?
man.
Like we
Oh
were
man.
right on the cusp of like media and social media. So I think like
Right.
we're kind of like that lost class. You know what I mean? And but we have enough content, right? And we got enough content that look cool. So when you think about like a Rip Hamilton documentary or Lamar Odom documentary, like it should be nostalgia and a moment in time right now, because those dudes are like hidden secrets. You know what I mean? Hidden gems.
Yeah. Yeah. You're from LA, but in my eyes, you're from the Bay. So you can say you're from LA
Bay
all you
second
want.
home, baby. Hell yeah.
We have people that don't know, like Northern California rivalry is just ridiculous. Like,
Bro,
we as Bay Area fan, we do not fuck with LA at all. Like,
not at all.
zero. People think it's one state, but it's really divided. It's
It's
really,
super divided.
it's
Bro,
really divided.
I tell you, the funny thing was, I was on the trading block. It was like Minnesota, I think like Chicago, somewhere, Golden State, and somewhere else. And I was like, yo, bro, do not send me to Golden State. I do not. Like, I'm an LA dude. I am not going to the Bay. You know what I mean? It's beef. It's a rivalry. Dog. I'm not going to Golden State. Send me to Minnesota. I'll be straight. And they sent me to Oakland. And I was like, damn, dog. Like, Oakland and LA dudes, like, how do you do this? You know what I mean? And when I got there, it was crazy, bro. It was crazy. It was just like, yo, this is the coolest version of LA I've ever been to. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, yeah.
and I think like from that point, it's just like the love. Like my love for the Bay was always like through music. and then all the rivalry was through sports, right? So I
Yep.
only loved the Bay because of like the rappers and the music.
Yeah.
But hoop, it was instant beef. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, but you know what
Uh,
though? If you notice though, the Bay, like especially Warriors fans, like once you're on the squad, you're on the squad. We don't care
oh
where
yeah,
you're
you
from.
in, you
Yeah,
in
yeah,
town
yeah.
business.
Like KD came over as an enemy too. Like we hated KD. We couldn't
Right.
stand KD and what he was. You know, him and Russ were doing at OKC. You know, they was talking a lot of smack to us. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and so
I remember that.
but when KD came, that's it. He was family.
Bro,
It was family.
yeah.
Yeah, it was family.
Town
So
business. That's what they
town
said.
business.
They
Town
said, you from
business.
the town now, man. That's what they tell me. You from the town now, man. I said,
I
all right.
love it. I love it. I love my home. I love my home. But yeah, man. Well, tell me a little bit. But let's go back to you don't get to become an all star, man, and just like one of the most highly recruited athletes in America, and you know go down this journey that you've gone with just a huge amount of success playing ball, man. Like where did playing ball? I mean, LA is already known. Like I'll keep it real. The ballers always came from LA.
Yeah.
Like the whole culture of ball was a little bit more. I mean, we had our guys too. Like I remember
Yeah,
growing up,
y'all got some dogs.
yeah, I remember growing up, you know, watching J Kidd at St. Joe's in high school, and like there was, you know,
Yeah.
Gary
We just
Payton and
have
Jared.
more. We
Yeah,
have
you guys have
more.
more. You guys
It
have
was
more.
a lot of AAU, a lot. You know, LA is a big place. You got Orange County, the Valley. When
Right,
you start expanding out to Riverside, Inland Empire, so
right,
you know,
right. Just so big.
it's just a lot of people hooping. You know, and we always say like basketball. We don't even call it like basketball. Ain't even a word we say. You know what I mean? It's you know we turn hoop into a lifestyle. You know what I mean? We turn we hooping like what we on. You know what I mean? We turn that into an energy and a lifestyle. And I think here in LA, when you look at the Russes and the James and a lot of these new dudes who coming out of LA, it's just like they personality is their game. You know what I mean?
Yep,
And their
yep.
game is their personality. You feel what I'm saying? Because it's really, the lifestyle. Like we all hang, it's a certain kind of style, it's a certain kind of look, certain kind of dress. You know
Yep.
what I mean? When you coming up out here because you tapped into so many different aspects of culture, from music
Yeah.
to fashion and all that. So you got to
Yeah.
be, a sponge and be able to absorb what's happening in LA and then be able to kind of articulate who you are. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I'm starting to see it now. Like, because growing up in Hayward, man, like ball was our life too. But
Hmm.
there was no, like, we never heard of any leagues. Like, we didn't hear about no AAU. We didn't hear about
Right.
none of that shit. So, like, the aspirations of like playing ball to a point where it's like, oh, like there were some guys in high school, man, that were just like re fucking ridiculous, but that was
Hmm.
it. You didn't see them anymore. It was their story ended after high school. So I think with LA being always kind of like a discovery breeding ground for the arts, like you said,
Hmm.
for the arts, for just all talent in general, is probably what contributed to these like bigger like getting these bigger leagues involved and just more
Yeah.
hype to it, more funding to it to get kids to really believe that there was an opportunity to go pro. Like some places don't have that in America, you know?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And we didn't really have that in LA until I remember when I got drafted in '99. Paul got drafted the year before, and I couldn't tell you who was from LA in the NBA. Stacey Augman from Pasadena, Chris Mills was in the NBA. He was an LA dude. Eldon Campbell, he was an LA dude, but they were older. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And so when me, and I would say Paul, then Tayshaun, Prince, we were the first three dudes from like Compton in LA to really like get down in the league and have a name. And for me, it was more so like, man, I love all my NBA homies, but I'm gonna kick it with my young dogs. You know what I mean? So I used to work out with the high school kids, go to the high school games. When I was 19 to 25, my life was dedicated to, what these next wave of high school kids was looking like, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that starts shaking out to be Russ and DeMar and James and Pooh Jetter and Trevor Ariza and Darrell
Wow.
Wright. You know what I
Wow.
mean? And it was like, yo, we got a whole nother crop and a whole nother wave. I want them to see what it feel like, what it look like to be an NBA star. So I would take them, on private planes. You know what I mean? I take them to commercials, different things like that, so they could see it early. They could touch it early as a kid, and when they get there, they're not impressed, right? Because there's something about and I'm sure you can attest to this. Is like
Yeah.
once you climb it and you get to the top of the mountain, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like that's your piece, right? The only thing else you can do is come down and go back up, right? But it's like you can appreciate the journey, you know what I mean, and the destination when you get there. But at the same time, what I was telling my young boys is like once you get to the destination, right? You already been here. You already seen it.
Yeah.
So you don't have to
Right.
perform and behave. You know what I mean? Like you
A
kind
hundred
of like
percent.
already got a flow um,
100%.
about who you are and who you are compared to somebody else. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah, preparation and anticipation of things, like, because when it's all thrown at us all at once, it becomes an unhealthy situation.
Right.
You don't expect, like I was telling you when we had a conversation before, like the grind for 12 years at BeatStars, just it grounded me along the
Yep.
way, right? If we achieved the success we're having today in 1 year or 6 months when we first started, I don't know who I would have been. Like
Right.
barely graduated high school. I don't know, so it would it would have been trouble,
Right.
but at some point, man, you had to, like, I was just thinking to myself, man, I was like, man, professional athletes are the ultimate entrepreneurs. They're the ultimate entrepreneurs because they took themselves as a product and
Yep.
and refined their product
Hmm.
and worked at it and iterated at it, right? Like that's the ultimate entrepreneurship, when you can actually make yourself a product. And it's so relatable with the music that's like with our music producers and our creators, because
Yeah.
they're also creating these things and they're iterating these
Yeah.
things that coming out of their brains, So it's the same concept of like using your talent, using your art, whether it's sports, whether it's music. It's the same concept. Like you guys have, I always say professional athletes and like the technical music creators are the ultimate entrepreneurs, because
Yeah.
they had the long journey. They had the long
Yep.
journey.
But
Yeah.
yeah, and it's you all in on you,
Yep.
right? I think that's for any entrepreneurs. Like nobody's gonna work as hard as you. Nobody's gonna think about this business more than you. No one is going to sacrifice and be willing to try more than you. And so I think that entrepreneurial spirit, ain't nobody gonna practice more, right? So when you look at basketball and you look at music and you look at being an entrepreneur, it's like, yo, if I'm gonna go in, like 3 years ago, I decided like, yo, I'm tired of hanging out at the studio and being the rapper dude that has a good ear in music, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like fun to be there, but dog, I ain't doing shit.
Not
Like I
contributing.
cannot be like that's like coming in the gym and like you don't rebound, you don't pass, you just sitting there like the homie. And so, I've had homies like that, but I can't be the homie. You know what I mean? And so when I went in, I was like, yo, teach me how to make beats. And no bullshit, dog, I am still in the same studio 3 years ago. And for almost damn near like every day, every other day, I was like, yo, I gotta make a beat. I gotta make a beat. I gotta make a beat. Right? Until I really figured out like one, what my sound was, two, I loved it. I understood it. You know what I mean? And when you love something and understand it, you also and you practice at it, you also realize you don't know shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah.
to learn.
Right.
And so
Right.
that's the journey. You know what I mean? That's the journey. And so for me, it's like,
You were always in your life. You were ever always looking to learn how to
absolutely.
add more to your craft, right? You're always looking at that.
Absolutely.
So you felt like you couldn't be just someone in here not contributing. You're like, no, this is not what I do.
Right.
I keep adding to what I do. But when did you feel like tell me at like what age did you feel like, man, I'm taking this ball thing so damn serious, like I don't care,
Like
like
4 years old, 5 years old.
that young?
Yeah.
You're like, it was just part of your identity.
I'm telling you, it was a lifestyle, bro.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, you know how parents wake their kids up
Yeah.
like, yo, you gotta work out, get them trainers and shit. No, bro. I woke up. It was my life. I went to before I went to sleep. I played. It was my life. You know what I mean? It was what
Yeah.
like if I didn't play basketball, I had a bunch of basketball cards, and I would actually look on the back of the cards, and I would compare stats.
Mm.
Right? Daryl Walker compared to Joe Dumars had the same damn stats. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Fat Lever damn near had better stats across the board than Michael Jordan, bro.
You're analyzing the
And
game.
then you start realizing, like, yo, who is these dudes? You know what I'm saying? It's not just about,
Yeah.
you know, the Jordans and the people like that, but you start looking at these stats, you start comparing these players. And so, like, I didn't even know them. I never seen none of them dudes play. But I had their card, and I can imagine what they look like, and all I needed was a highlight. You know what I mean? To authenticate that. And so that was just kind of like,
Yeah.
you know, like my little secret sauce, man. It was just like you wake up, lifestyle, bro. From the time I was 5, and then who I who I was being formed through my lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm sure at some point you had to be like feeling yourself. You're going to the park and you're just running game on the
Hell
whole.
no, it was gangbangers, bro.
No? Okay,
Hell
so
no.
so
I
you
was
never
shout
so
out to the hood.
no one was blowing up your head every time you came
Hell
on the
no.
court. Okay.
Bro, I was 5'3" in ninth grade, 5'5" in 10th grade, 130 pounds. You know, and where I'm from, you know, it's gangbangers. So you playing with
Yeah.
gangbangers. They
Yeah,
ain't give
yeah.
me
We're not
I,
playing. We're not playing with them.
they ain't give me no props. I was a late bloomer. I think it started happening to me my junior, senior year. My senior year is the year I really blew up. But before that, it was just like, you know, I was always the smallest dude. They never thought I was gonna grow. Nobody thought that I would make it. They was like, yo, if he can get to like 5'9", he could be good in college. And
Wow.
I was like, damn, dude, if I can get to 5'9", that'll be a miracle. And I messed around in 5'10" in high school, started dunking, and after that, it was pretty much a wrap. But I think, like, you know, from an ego standpoint, it
Yeah.
was just I just knew who I was on the court.
Yeah. I mean,
Off the
listen.
court, like I didn't really pay attention to that shit because, you
Yeah.
know, it never meant anything. You know what I mean? It was just like when I walk in the gym, I want my peers and the people who love the game and be around the game to be like, yo,
Right.
homeboy cold right there. You feel what I'm saying? Like he cold, he's super cold.
But you grew up, man. You grew up in an area that, statistically, a lot of the things that are happening in your life were, very, very unlikely. You ended up going to a private school in high school, right? And how did you feel going from where you were? It's all good. It's all good.
I'm just telling
But
you, yeah, I'm
if
live, bro. I'm just telling my bro I'm live.
it's yeah, it's cool. It's cool. If you because you transition at a very critical point in your life when going to high school, going to a private school, seeing kind of how the whole private school institutions are built and how a lot of times they're recipes for success as well too for a certain race of people, right? For a certain race of
Mhm.
people. And so going from the public school system and growing up in hard ass LA and then going to this private school, do you feel like that? What did that do for your mental growth as you transitioned and saw both of those worlds like that?
Man, it gave me an outlet. I would say when I used to cross the 405 and get to the west side, my whole demeanor would change. Right? It was going from like, uh, a war-ridden country to Disneyland. Right? And so once I was able to like cross that freeway, I knew like one, I couldn't get a ride back home. So I was so if I would be stuck, I want to be stuck on the right side of the field. But I would say you also hella vulnerable, dog, because you are the experiment. It's all on you. And whether you make it or break it, everybody's counting on you, the school, your family, to say, like, yo, like, what is this experiment going to kind of breed, right? Like,
Right.
I like, how does this thing blossom? And I would say, like, for me, I just tapped into the art, right? And being at school and being at a private school allowed me to not, like, always be looking on my shoulder and
Right.
be scared, be nervous, be anxious. Gotta
Yeah.
worry, like if I would have went to middle school in my neighborhood, right? I gotta catch the bus. My homeboy got killed on the bus stop last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Gotta get to the school. Gotta walk into school. You gotta walk in. It's all kind of rival gangs. Get in school,
Yeah.
go to class, do that, and the gangbangers hanging out.
Yeah.
After school, you want to hoop and get home. You gotta get home before the street lights or the sun go down, or you got a long way and three hoods to get through. You know what I mean? And so
Yep.
imagine like trying to do something growing up in that environment and that anxiety, with that anxiety and
I
not
feel you.
having, and you don't have
I
a
feel
mom
you.
and dad, right, to take you to and from school. Like you really like surviving and
Yeah.
on your own. So
Yeah.
I feel hella blessed. Like I didn't have a real ride to Crossroads, but like, just God made a way, you know what I mean? And I think that's why, for me, I always felt that responsibility. And that's why I was always thinking about, like, how can I build a bridge from Crossroads to where I'm at? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And people don't get that, man. Like I grew up, I grew up in a pretty really similar type of situation where, I grew up in a blood neighborhood, and there
Mm-hmm.
and it was 10 different gangs in Hayward, right outside of Oakland, and dealt with that a
Hayward ain't no
lot.
joke, bro.
Yeah, man. I had to leave schools because just come some gang situations. So my mom would send me over with my older cousins to protect me, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of stress is not really felt too much around around institutions where let's keep it what it is, white neighborhoods, like
Yeah.
rich white neighborhoods, more privileged neighborhoods, right? So
Bro,
like
bro.
that kind of stress that you went through, and like so many other people of color are dealing with every single day, living in adverse conditions, right? And so like what just talk a little bit about like and this is something that I think, especially with like LeBron's school, like the I Promise school, just like there's so many great initiatives going on right now. But, but people forget that, you know, kids that go to these private institutions are gifted with an advantage and probability of success
Yeah.
just by being next to the next tech
Yeah.
CEO,
Yeah.
by being next to the next decision maker that's coming up in the world, and how minorities and people of color are at a disadvantage because of their environments.
Yeah, I would say information and opportunity and education evens out the playing field, right? So you can be anybody, right? If somebody in the hood get an opportunity to shadow Elon Musk for 2 or 3 weeks, they're gonna get a job
Yep.
because you can see it, right? And I think a big part of like us growing up is we don't see it. We don't know what homie do. We don't know what that dude do. Oh, that dude got a suit on. Oh, he must be a chump. You know what I mean? And so you growing up thinking that there are no opportunities, or you can't see them. You definitely can't touch them, right? And you can't go to them. And so I think for the LeBrons of the world, and Derek Anderson has a school, Jalen Rose has a school. Guys are popping up schools all over. We're working on some stuff here in LA with the 1500s and the sound and volume and the sound academy that they have. Um, but it's like the education. It's like, man, let's take education for us on our own, and let's teach through experience. I think our businesses. My business is called Business Inside the Game, and I learned my business inside the game through the NBA. So I learned how to teach myself to get an MBA in the NBA. So I can tell you what department does what the NBA does, what the Bulls does, what's the relationship, right? What the guy who is doing the stats, to the equipment manager, to the guy in the film room, to the coach and GM. And so now, it's like once I learn all these jobs, now I can go share that with my homeboys and say, hey, bro, you can have a longer career than I can in the NBA, you know what I mean, by working for a team for 20, 30 years, right? And that's a hell of an experience, the security, and you get to be around your favorite players. So you live a better NBA life than I do, you know what I mean? And I just think that for all of us, teaching the business inside the game of gives us the opportunity to get closer, right? And the people get closer to us, and then it becomes experiential learning. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I mean, it's just natural. If you don't know how things work, you're intimidated to even attempt to do it.
Right.
If you do not know how structurally how things work, I'm not gonna get involved in something that's just out of sight, out of mind.
Yep.
But like today, man, like these conferences, these things we're doing, right? And
Hmm.
just free education and all the education that's available just all over the place with YouTube, with the stuff you're doing. Just what message do you have to younger people, especially in our community, that come from similar backgrounds like you, that have seen it from every single angle, right? Like, what message do you have for them today? Because when you were growing up and when I was growing up, we didn't have these online
Right.
educational things. We didn't have these, like, the
Hmm.
OGs to show us what's next in the digital
No,
world.
for sure.
You know.
For sure.
So what
I
what
would
message do you
say
have for young people? Yeah.
research, right? Basically, like you have every opportunity to get on that internet, right? Set up you some accounts, set up a BeatStar account if you make beats, set up a design account if you make graphics, right? It's almost like the opportunities are there. You have to go and seek it, right? What is your business inside the game? That's what I ask people. What what are your intangibles, right? A, when you hoop, right? How do you hoop, right? I'm sure the way you hoop is the way you do business. You know what I mean? And so figure out, like, athlete or entrepreneur or, just a hardworking individual. It's like, yo, I'm really organized. Okay, my business inside the game. I want to get in the music business. And I can organize. I can organize libraries, publishing, things like that. You know what I mean? Artists, I can help manage artists. And so when you start thinking about what your secret sauce is, right, then that secret sauce applies to the industry. And then you just start learning, man, every aspect of the industry that you want to be in, and be humble enough to always be willing to start from the bottom, dude. I'll say this, and it, it, I hurt my knee. I was coming back, right? I was working out. It was like, hey, man, you about to get a call from an NBA team. And I was like, you know what, dude? I'm not sure I can stay on a team. I don't know if I want to play basketball anymore. So you know what I did? I went to the D League on my own, free will, stayed in an apartment with the 21-year-old kid, and then played D League basketball or G League basketball. You know what I mean? And I was like, damn, dude, this is a humbling experience. But if I had an opportunity to start my career over, I'd just start there. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to get back to the privilege. You know what I mean? And realize that if I'm going to go back to the NBA, I don't want to be a dude sitting on the bench just taking a check. You know what I mean? Because that's not going to help me. You know what I
Right.
mean? That may
Right.
make it worse. So
Yeah.
let me go to the G League. Let me start. Let me start to figure out: do I love the game more than these dudes? Right? And if any of these dudes love the game more than I do, or is working 10 times harder than me, then I'm old enough where I can say, you know what, this slot, it belongs to you, young man.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I mean,
And
you sound like that experience sounds a lot like when you think about some of the OG artists in the game going
yeah,
back and reaching their hands and working with younger artists. Like,
right.
someone that comes to mind is just because he's a legend is E40. Like E40, when
Come on,
he,
dude.
the guy has been relevant for how many decades now? Like, it's not even funny. Like, to stay relevant across multiple generations is is, you know, that's legendary, right? And so
Man,
for
come on,
him,
that's body water.
oh, you know, for him, but you know what? I think he brings that because he's been playing ball for so long.
Yes. You
He
want to hoop
has
with him.
he want to hoop with the kids sometimes and see if they can give him that, you know,
Yeah.
that hunger
Yeah.
to kind of feel it again.
No, I totally agree. Like in music, it's a beautiful thing when you start seeing more collaboration because, dog, music make the world go round, right? And as much, every time that they say hip hop is dead or hip hop is not or this, it starts
Yeah.
to reinvent itself and bring out different emotions, right?
Right.
Or different feelings or triggers, the same way it did 100 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so music and hip hop and it's going to constantly evolve. But I think the evolution, right, and the secrets we got you got to pass those tools down too. And I think collaboration is the best resource.
So, BD, like, let's talk about life after the game a little bit. You could have easily just rode off into the sunset, turn everything off, right? And could have just like, you know, retired and just kind of not you know, have that drive and hunger to do other things, you know, in your career after. So you could have just chilled out, but you took it upon yourself to treat the money that you earned from playing ball as like the foundation for building like an entrepreneurial enterprise for yourself and reinvesting those, you know, what you've earned, back into things you believe in, especially investing in founders of color, which is,
Yeah,
you know, very hard to like even think of in the VC world. Like that doesn't really happen that often, you know. And so
right.
you're like, nah, you know what? I'm not going to just retire and ride off into the sunset. I'm actually gonna help build institutions for, you know, for reinvesting back into, communities that you touch. You know,
Yeah.
what drove that, man? What drove that to want to do that? Because you didn't have to. You didn't have to do that.
I was my own agent when I was 21 years old, so I always operated outside the system. I had my own agency, had a film company, helped Game build up the Black Wall Street, all kind of stuff. Sign artists, had a clothing line, and so when I retired, it was just, hey man, I have all this freedom to actually like pay attention to the things that I've been doing. And now that I've learned a lot, I can actually give back. And but who am I going to be in the process, right? Nobody going to just, you walk up to an NBA dude and you a retired dude. I remember the first year that I didn't play. It was like dude's like, "Oh, what's up, OG?" You know what I mean? And it was just like I fuck with you, OG. And it was just like, damn, I remember doing that to my OGs, right? But I wanted to know them. You know what I mean? And so I was like, man, let me bring something to the table that when I'm sitting on the floor at the game, they like, that's OG. OG, I gotta holler at you. I got an idea. You know what I mean? And so I become, not only the OG, but a big brother, you know what I mean? And a resource for, the dudes who aren't that comfortable speaking up or who not that
Sure.
comfortable, just being in the LeBron camp, you know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Or
Right.
being in so-and-so camp. And so for me, it was just like, man, invest in companies, live it, be it, do it. You feel what I'm saying? I want to be behind entrepreneurs, be next to entrepreneurs, where now we are ecosystem, right? 5 years from now, we on a boat. 5 years from now, we at a block party. 5 years from now, we had a foundation together. You know what I mean? And like I'm looking ahead to see who's that collective of people, right? That I've invested my time, my resources in. You know what I mean? And not only that, they're blowing up, right? And now we have a responsibility, right? At the end, when we get to the mountain, right? And see that view, it's not just me,
Right.
right? It's a
Right.
collective of us. And we're like, all right, when we go back down, we're going to bring 50 more people up here because they deserve to see that view. And so, for me as an investor, as a creative, producer, director, I wanted to experience all this shit. You know what I'm saying? So then when I do connect with a young person or I do connect with somebody that's like-minded, collaboration is already happening. You know what I mean? And when I do find a young entrepreneur that's dope, it's like, man, let's put the house behind you, right? We got a whole ecosystem, we got a whole network. Man, let's put that behind you, bro. You go. You know what I mean? And then, because you'll be responsible to take 50, 100 people with you. You
Right.
know what I mean? And
Right.
if I can be, you know, a director and point traffic, you know what I mean? And a
Hmm.
traffic cop, then I think that's, that's where I want it to be anyway. And I think that
Yeah.
when you look at my game as a point guard, you know
Yep.
what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like I can direct traffic, I can play defense, you know what I mean? I can score when I want to, but I'd rather have
Mm.
these guys score because we need those points early and often. And if we need to close, I'm not afraid to be, the hero or the GOAT.
That's great. That's great, man. But for someone that's getting active in that world too, right? In that venture capital world, you've been very vocal about wanting to see some change within it. You've been
Yeah.
very vocal about like, calling people out on like, why are we not investing in minorities as well? And I wanted to ask, just from being within that, are you starting to see a shift in that world where people of color and minorities are now seeing more and more opportunities to possibly see their ideas, their inventions, their products have more life, or do you feel like there still needs to be a lot more work to be done to get that to change a little bit?
I mean, it definitely has to be a lot more work. You know what I mean? I think people antennas are up, um, but it's a lot more work to do. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
I think I tweeted the other day is, even for me walking in as an entrepreneur, I don't look like them, I don't sound like them. I'm passionate about my shit, right? And so I may come off aggressive, but it's just that's my know-how, right? And so like I don't have lofty projections, right? But that's what they want. They're not used to, right? Someone who is different than how they present, right? Um, and so for me, it's like it's coming, right? But we need the right entrepreneurs to also do the right shit. You know what I mean? And like, so the entrepreneurs got to go and start taking money from the right people, right? And the right people have to start giving money to the right people, right? Because ultimately the rich gonna get richer, as we know, right? And when you are a black entrepreneur, you are a minority entrepreneur, it's like you need to go to the big firms or you need to go somewhere in order to get some attention and some recognition. And I think that's where we were like, you know what, enough is enough. We're gonna stop it here. We're going to be that trampoline, that pedestal, that platform, and we're gonna identify you. If we can invest in you, we're gonna invest in you. You know what I mean? If we can
Right.
work with you alongside you, we'll do that too. You know what I mean?
Right. Right.
Um, but it takes the entrepreneur and this side of the venture side to say, okay, these dudes got home runs, right? Now let's do it again with them. You know what I mean? And I don't think that we've had really and I'm not gonna, not that I know, a ton of African American led, ventures or private equity firms that people are like, yo, pouring into that. And so I think for us, that is my goal, right?
Yeah.
When I walk in the arena, I want the homies to be like, yo, plug me in with that. You know what I mean? When I walk into the studio, I want dudes to be like, yo, what you got for me, right? When I'm sitting with an entrepreneur, I want them to be like, yo, I need this, 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 and this, right? And so that kind of energy gets me going, and if I can build the track record, success record with the right suite of entrepreneurs, then every year we get to double down, triple down, quadruple down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's the goal is figuring out having an entrepreneur, having the investors, right? Because it is a pot of money, but where is that shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, and where are you? You know what I mean? And where are they? Where are you? And like, who's there to connect those dots? You know what I mean? And so it's really discovery, and it's a leap of faith on both sides. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think one on this side with the money, the antennas are up, but the people on this side, we don't have a place to be identified where we can be measured and judged from what we're building for our community and culture. And so I think that's what we want to do is like say, hey man, we own a lot. We just never like put the resources to it.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right, right.
And establish, and put our stake in the ground.
You keep talking about antennas up, and someone when I talk to you, man, your antennas are always up, no matter what. You're paying attention to all of these different industries, all of these different, just kind of new spaces that are emerging, new opportunities for just independent folks all over the world. So where do you feel? Because I know you've also invested in some music companies too. Where do you feel? The independent creator community, where are we going, man? Where do you like where's I mean, because you're probably studying a lot of this stuff every
Yeah.
day. You're seeing the democratization of what's
Hmm.
happening in the landscape. And so what excites you about this new music creator economy that's going on right now?
Well, one, I'm excited because I know how to make music now, so I can
You
actually
get to
put
be in
my
it.
music out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's so funny, like you know, thinking of all right, I got art. I want to be an artist. I want to produce and put out an album. Um, but all the artists that come through the studio, it's like, damn, dog, they all independent. So it's like, man, let me start doing some research and let me start figuring out how can we kind of own our own studio, right? How do you own your own studio? How do you own your own publishing? How do you create your own ecosystem, right? Videos and all that. And so I think to your question is data is going to be transparent, right? And then also you're going to be able to have a virtual studio in your pocket or in your home, right? Or in your phone. And you're going to be able to go get your beats, record your beats, shoot your video, you know what I mean? And then
Yep.
put it out for distribution on all platforms, right? And
Yep.
so
Yep.
technology is allowing us to have, the same type of access as a Warner Brothers or a Sony, you know what I mean? And so there's no more if you are an artist, the whole like doing a deal with the devil or signing your death certificate
Yeah.
by, putting your hands in the label, you actually get to broker and manage, how much they get to participate. So I think music is going to, if music was smart, music would go to a venture model. If artists and producers were smart, they would treat themselves like companies, right? Because you already are the product.
Yep. Yep.
So, create a venture inside
Yeah.
yourself. And now, you give yourself a great opportunity to like grow your company and grow
Right.
your business and brand. And who knows what a hit record would do? Who knows what a
Yeah.
placement in a movie would do? Right. And so you get to actually build the business inside of music, right? Instead of just being in the music business.
Yeah, yeah, that's great, man. Yeah, I love hearing that from you because that's my prediction as well. Continue,
Yeah.
continue, continue building
Oh yeah.
entrepreneurs. Inside of the music space. So how long have you been making beats? Has it been too long?
3 years.
About 3 years.
Yep.
So you're transitioning into this like artist mode. Your love from hip hop had to come from somewhere, man. Can you tell us a little bit about like, where?
LA.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's a lot of
LA
history
music.
there. Who are some of your favorite, LA artists?
Obviously, like Dre, Easy E, Cube, Snoop. But I go back to like, being in my cousin I Rock as an 8 year old listening to Rodney O and Joe Cooley.
Ooh,
Too Short,
yeah,
E40. You know what I mean? Like
yeah,
I am West Coast, West Coast. And I think when I started getting to high school, I started really adapting to like Biggie and Jay Z and dudes like that. But I always rap. I always was a rapper. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And I always had freestyles and raps and code. I just would do it because it was just fun around friends, and that's what we do. Basketball player, we freestyle, rap, make beats, just on the bus and stuff. Um, and I was just like, you know what? I gotta get serious about this, bro.
yeah. Hell
Yeah, I
yeah.
gotta get serious about that. I need a name. I need a character. You know what I mean?
I love
I
it.
need a style. I need a sound. And so I start literally every day trying to like perfect my craft, dude. It was like starting off just making a layup.
Yeah, and man, for me, listen, man, when I saw you hit me up, you're like, Abe, I'm on the platform, I'm selling beats, I'm selling beats. I was like, oh my God. This is, for me, this is like the biggest testament, right? The biggest
Mhm.
testament for me to see your profile up there. And then you also, like, your price points are matching the market. Like, your price points are matching the market. You're not taking this, like, outrageous, like, approach where you're not like, because a lot of, I won't name any names, but we've had a lot of like celebrity producers try to come on the platform and charge like
Yeah,
100 times the market, and they didn't sell one beat.
yeah.
So there's
I'm trying
that.
to get my beats off, dog. I'm trying to get
Yeah,
somebody to record to my beats. I got an album coming out.
and
Barn
and
Outfield, the
and
legend.
and you're using the collaboration feature, working with other people on the
There you
platform.
go.
Like, man, like when you started doing that, I was like, okay. I was like,
Yeah.
Baron's,
Or they gonna sit in this computer and do nothing. You know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah,
dude, if somebody like can relate to these and fuck with these beats, man, great. You know what I mean? Like I don't
yeah.
care who the artist is. It's
Let's see
just
where it go.
to have somebody like respect your shit enough to like put they art on it as well. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
for
so,
sure.
I've been doing a lot of that collaborations. The album gonna be cool. I got a cool little album that I produced, and A&R EP.
Yeah, but let me see. Baron cut out for a second. Let's see if he gets back in. All right, guys, get your questions ready. Get your questions ready, and when Baron comes back in, let's ask him some questions. Baron, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Cool. Yeah. So okay, man. I mean, I know there's another aspect to you. There's just so many different layers to you. So many different layers to you. You're funny as shit, bro. When I watched
Thank
that
you. Thank you, bro.
WWTF, like that show is just absolutely hilarious, man. And you bring on so many dope, amazing, like
Thank you.
online social media comedians into your show. What gave you the courage to be like, you know what? I'm going to film something, and I'm going to be like one of the main characters in this thing. I'm going to produce it. I'm going to be the star of this thing, and it actually came out super successful. The shit was hilarious, man.
Man, at some point you get tired of entertaining your friends and shit for free, right?
Yeah,
Like, man, they getting jobs and acting jobs, and I'm like, man, y'all ain't even talented. No, I'm just playing.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
y'all ain't
yeah,
funny. Nah, but I think for me it was just like I said, everybody out there take and control your narrative.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
nobody would have ever thought that I would make a show like that. You know what I mean? And that it would be pretty good and funny. And so for me, it's like, I want to be somebody that they like, yo, that's BD. That motherfucker's funny. That motherfucker, you know what I
yeah,
mean? It's just
yeah,
like approachable, presentable. I don't want to be, uh, like, let's say I make a big movie, you know what I mean? Become a big star. I don't be like Kevin Hart. You know what I mean? I ain't
yeah.
gonna, start all of a sudden wearing tight ass pants and shit like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
just like taking myself too serious, bro, because I already know how hard it is, and how hard it's going um how hard it's gonna be for anybody else. So I want to be approachable. You know what I
I
mean? I
love
want
it.
to be
I love it,
approachable,
man.
relatable, because I feel like, one, from a comedic standpoint, it's like the more you relatable and the more you closer to the truth, that shit funny, dude. The truth hurts.
Hell yeah,
The
man. Hell
truth is
yeah.
funny. You know
But
what I
man,
mean?
man, do you sleep at all? Do you get any
No,
sleep? You don't, huh?
not at all.
How do you handle all of these things and actually like be very productive at all these things every single day? Whether it's your investments, the businesses you're consulting with, just your art, your like how the fuck do you do? I couldn't do it.
I think having a good team, and then
Yeah,
for me, it's like I compartmentalize things.
yeah,
And so I kind of built that throughout like my week, throughout my schedule. I'm huge on mastering the schedule, master the calendar.
Yeah.
I always say if you master the calendar, then you can always be ahead of yourself. You can always be ahead of your work, right? Because you know what those target dates are and those goals. So being able to compartmentalize a lot of shit, you know what I mean, really helps.
Yeah, it's huge, man. We're always trying to preach that to the community.
Yeah.
You know, scheduling. Like, there's no way around it. If you want to become successful, it's just not going to happen without it. You know. All right, we're going to get into some questions. All right, so here's the first one from Cloud9 Music. How did you come up with the name Bart Oatmeal?
Oh man, Bart Oatmeal is the legend. The legend is Bart Oatmeal. Bart Oatmeal, man. Bart Oatmeal, is this dude, surfer, made beats back in the day with the boombox in Santa Monica.
Oh yeah.
He was a vibe, you know what I mean? And like he had this tape. And so I was one of the few people to hear this tape. And he was just like, just kind of like a, a voyager or whatever. You know what I mean? He was just a man
Yeah.
living in his own freedom. So, I was just like, man, I'm about to take the Bart, and add the oatmeal because I want to do away with Quaker. I want to have a beef with Quaker oats.
There you go. There you go.
So,
Hell yeah. What from Erica? What non-hip hop genre would you want to produce outside of hip hop?
I say pop stuff would be cool.
Yeah.
Obviously soul, R&B, but also like dance. Just like dance music. I wouldn't necessarily call it like it's like an EDM, like an EDM kind of dance hybrid. And then I've been working on some shit called disco trap. So I've been trapping out the disco
Okay.
lately.
Okay. Cool. What inspires you outside of just music?
My family, my kids, and really just the world, right? Just trying to be a sponge and absorb, the people that I follow on social media, the people that I look up to, the people I'm friends with, and just conversations are what really what really inspire me outside of music.
People. How do you recover from being drained after working really hard for a long period of time? I do take breaks, but I usually find it very difficult to get back into the hard work, says Nate.
Yeah, I would say take a day off. Always take that day to reset yourself, and don't wait till the weekend. You feel what I'm saying? It's like,
Right, right,
oh shit, it's Wednesday. It's like, oh man, I don't think I can make it through the week. Okay,
right.
take Thursday off, right? Take Thursday off. Come back Friday, supercharged. Work through Friday, a little piece of Saturday, a little piece of Sunday, right? Master your schedule, master the calendar. So when you do take a break, you can take a real break. And then I would say another thing that I've been big on is, however you want to call it, meditation, break, breathing, take 10 minutes, 15 minutes, throughout the day, once or twice a day, and just calm the fuck down.
For real, for real. That's good.
Breathe, you know what I mean? Close your eyes. Let everything that you have to do just kind of like move in and around you, and then just like figure out how to like find a place of calm, and then you'll rebalance and you'll recalibrate. Sometimes the brain just needs to be recalibrated because we filling it with so much shit, with so much
Yeah,
information.
yeah, yeah. Thank you. What software do you use, Bart Oatmeal?
Ableton and Logic. I'm glad I could say that.
That's
I'm on
cool,
the
man.
push. I'm on the push.
We got a lot of FL gang in here for sure, but I'm sure there's a lot of Ableton
The
folks in
fruity,
here
the
too.
fruity, the fruity, Fruity Loops crew.
Yeah, we got a lot of those. We got a lot of
I gotta
those.
get on Fruity Loops, man. Somebody's showing me that reason.
Yeah, yeah. Reason look complicated as hell.
Reason is
Reason.
complicated, dog. And when somebody explain reason to you, they do that shit where it's so simple, like they make the beat, but it take me like 2 hours to figure out what the hell is going on.
For real, for real. Here's another one from piece of advice that you've received from someone that you will still use today.
Believe in yourself and don't take yourself too serious.
Real shit.
You know what I mean?
Real shit.
Facts.
You can't. You got to have a balance.
Yeah.
Got to have a balance. BD, that's all I got for you today, man. Is there anything that you kind of wanted to talk to the folks about before you head out here? We really appreciate your time, man. It was great.
No, I appreciate you, man. I think, what you're doing. You got a great platform, a huge platform. One, respect to all the artists out there, all the producers, and, respect to the people that chimed in, the 400 people that's watching. Go check me out, Bart O'Meal on BeatStars. I'm just excited to be a part of, everything that's happening right now, be a part of this summit. And for me in music, it's just, trying to figure out, who are the OGs that I need to be learning from and I need to be connected to. So, always find your path, always believe in yourself, right? And do the research, do the practice, and understand that even though you're a great rapper, you could be a better manager, right? If your beats ain't selling on BeatStar, keep putting them up there, and you may be a music supervisor, right? And so don't let the one thing stop you from seeing everything that's in and around you.
That's great. Great advice, man. We appreciate you, BD. What you've done for the game, the culture,
Thank
just
you, boss.
everything you can continue to contribute. One last thing. Who are you picking? Who are you picking to win the whole
Lakers.
thing? Lakers.
Lakers are the Clippers, man. We got
So my
Yep.
Warriors are not in it. My Warriors are not in it, but my guy Dame Dollar is in it.
I fucks with Dame.
So
Heavy.
I got if they
They
see
got a chance. They got a chance.
if they see you guys
LA need a
around.
parade, man. LA need a parade. You know what I mean? We used to them. We ain't had one in a while.
Nah. Y'all had enough parades. Chill out.
No,
Chill
we
out.
need hey, bro, when you used to some shit. I remember when the Lakers played, bro. When the Lakers used to win the championship, we already be out the playoffs, so I'd be here in LA. And I'd be like, they be like, BD, you coming to the parade? I'm like, nah, bro, I can't really do that. But I'm gonna have me a little after party before I
Exactly.
win the championship. When the Lakers
Exactly.
win, BD wins.
Exactly.
Just win it, BD wins.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you,
Appreciate you,
bro.
my brother. Thank you for your time,
Love, my
man.
G.
All right, dog. We'll see you soon.